Hello everyone. So my name is Emile Hamon. I work as the head of strategy and development at Veidekke, a general contractor, Scandinavia's fourth biggest contractor. And as Dave said, I'm going to talk about these 5 disruptive trends that will actually change our industry and make us more efficient. And if we look at the background, we are an industry that needs to become more efficient. Today, if we look at the cost for single-family houses and multi-story houses, we have actually had a 100% increase in cost compared to electronic, food, cars, etc., etc. So we've had a big increase in cost over time. And if we want to build affordable houses, single-family houses, multi-story houses in the future, we need to change this. If you compare the construction price index and the consumer price index, we need to change this trend. I would like to refer to Ben because he said we need to solve it in the BIM model so it doesn't cost money when it comes out in on the construction site. So I'm actually going to start with a little quiz and see if you actually know how much things cost when it comes out to the construction site. So I'm not really sure what happened here. Something went wrong. They had to drill a hole, they had to pour in concrete, they had to put in new rebarb. Is there someone in the audience that would like to guess how many euros it actually costs to fix this? Someone? 1,000? 10,000, wow. You're going to be a really expensive contract, I can tell you that. Sorry? Oh, now you're completely... Just for drilling that hole, pouring in concrete and some rebarb? No, 1,000 euros. So that's why they actually use Veidekke, because we're quite cheap to do this. Okay, so the next question. 10-meter long wall, they had to tear down the wall, rebuild the wall again. 10 meters, maybe 2.5 meters of height, the wall. Anyone would like to guess on that one? Now you're a bit scared because they guessed quite expensive, yeah? 2,000. You'll get the job, 2,000. 3,500 euros to actually fix this. But the figures, I can tell you, the figures are a bit old, so it's maybe more expensive today than it was back then. This one is my favorite, coming up now. I mean, I would have loved to see the client's face when they saw this beam going through the door and the window. And actually, I've seen this. This is not a fake picture. This is a true picture. I've actually seen this house later on in the project, where you could see they moved the door around the building, but they had this window, and behind the window you could see the beam, and then behind the beam you could actually see the clothes hanging. But it must have been, I mean, someone would like to guess on this one. How much? 1 million. Depends on the client and on how much this general contractor was sued on, but yeah, maybe. I have no idea. It must have been expensive, of course. So as Ben said, solve it in the BIM model, then you don't have to have these problems on site, when it's quite often very, very expensive. The speaker just before me, she talked about the possibilities, the digitalization of the construction industry, that we could save between 700 and 1,000 billion US dollar globally. I mean, those are figures you get, I don't really know how much that is, so it's crazy, but the possibilities to actually work with these 5 digital trends and actually change something, there are huge possibilities, and we definitely want to be part of that transition. But another study done by a company called Ipsos, they asked to what extent would the digitalization force your company to change strategy on your specific market? And this is a bit scaring because over 70% in the construction industry, management said that, hey, no, we pour concrete, we use rebarbs, we have precast, we build houses, so digitalization won't actually change our industry that much. Quite surprisingly. But then, going back to that background that we have, the cost trend, I think we have huge possibilities here to actually change the industry and changing how we work. So we don't want to be those guys. And they could actually look at these people. This is fantastic. This is a fantastic story, I think. It's called the Red Flag Act. It was the horse carriage industry in the UK who said that, hey, the automobile industry, it's so dangerous, the automobile. So if you're going to drive it in the streets, you need a guy in front of the automobile with a red flag warning people. I would like to see the turnover of the automobile compared to the horse carriage industry in the UK today. I imagine they would have liked to changed. Yeah. So we see 5 disruptive trends that will actually change our industry that we need to address and work with. So the first one is advanced geodetics. The second one is unbroken information flow. The third one is using mobility, iPads mobility for actually virtual reality, augmented reality, and so on. The fourth one is big data and IoT. And the fifth one is robotics and automation and robotics. We need to address all these 5 digital trends in order to actually change what we're doing and disrupt the industry, for sure. So I'm going to go into a bit more in depth of these 5 digital trends and what we're actually doing in our company and what we're seeing the industry is changing for. So first, advanced geodetics. We have for some time actually used drones in order to do surveying. So we're actually half the time for surveying using drones, and this we've been doing for quite some time already. We're now using drones and other equipment to scan the buildings in order to add value to our clients. And soon I think we will scan complete areas to actually show the clients that we can actually put in your building here, and the whole area will look like this when actually finished. So this is an area we have been investing for, advanced geodetics. We have been investing in that area for some time already, and we're going to continue investing in this area because it's important for us in the future for sure. So then we have the next digital trend, the unbroken information flow. Also an area that we've been working for some time. We're doing interesting work together with BIMobject on this digital trend, so I'll show you just in a minute. But when it comes to what we mean by an unbroken information flow is that you don't have to reproduce information throughout the construction process. i.e. meaning that if we have information already in the tender phase, we don't have to reproduce this in the design phase, in the construction phase, and then in the end in the facility management phase. We use the same data throughout and we don't reproduce that data over time. If we do this, we eliminate waste, we don't have to reproduce, or we don't get errors in the information that we actually create. But also it gives us the opportunity to actually work with continuous improvements and become better over time, to refine and get the information better over time. So here's a short video of what we're doing together with BIMobject. When we're using digital twins, we go into our Hercules cloud. We pick and select the digital twins, the specific objects, with all the information, of course, included in that object. We go into the design phase. In this example, we pick our own installation module, which is a bathroom pod together, so industrial built bathroom pod together with installation work. We include that into our model. And then we have all information that we actually need for purchasing and following up on that model. Then we use BIM Supply together with Forge to communicate with our suppliers and subcontractors on what we are actually going to purchase and actually build into our buildings. Also the same information from the tender phase, design phase, construction phase, and then in the end, in the facility management. So using that information, We have scanned the apartment, the same building, scanned the apartment, and we have the real objects included and can actually hand over this to the client, adding a lot of value to the client as well. And I think you will hear the next speaker talk a bit about that as well. So the third trend, also a trend that we've been working with for some time, digital collaboration and mobility. We've been using iPads for quite some time now to actually handle quality issues, safety issues, and so on. We also use iPads for handling RFIs on site. And this is something we see that we will develop even more in the future, using VR and augmented reality to actually see exactly what is built. And this is so intuitive. So I'm sure that our construction workers quite soon will have iPads or HoloLens on and actually see how much, or actually see what is going to be built. And when we're doing that, and we see this already today, we actually have a lot of projects now that we don't print drawings anymore, we use digital drawings. But then we will see for sure that we don't even have the digital drawings, we will just be using the BIM model for showing what is going to be built, etc. You can actually see in the background here, it's our Norwegian colleagues using HoloLens and augmented reality in a basement, in a cellar, seeing the installation work that will actually be included in the project. And it's so intuitive to see that actually how it's going to be built more or less while you're building it. The fourth digital trend, Internet of Things. This is and big data. This is a trend that we haven't been investing that much time in right now, but we're really interested in to get into more about IoT and big data, because we see the big possibilities of actually aggregating up data and make better buildings in the future. So we think that IoT will help us for logistics on site, monitoring logistics on site. We will also use it for how materials are behaving, monitoring how materials are behaving. And here we're doing some research together with the concrete industry to see how, for instance, concrete is hardening, etc. And collecting that kind of data as well from the buildings. Then using, of course, big data to analyze how the buildings are actually being used. And I think this is a key. This is a key for actually designing better buildings in the future. So we will for sure get into that area. And then, of course, using, in order to make more sustainable buildings in the future, using buildings, energy consumption, etc., from the IoT together with big data in order to also design better buildings in the future. So this is the fourth trend, Internet of Things and big data. The fifth trend, automation and robotics, also an area that we haven't been doing that much work so far, but we're looking at the possibilities and looking at the research done within this area, because we think there are big possibilities with actually working, having 3D printer print components and having robots actually working 24/7. So when our construction workers comes on site, they can actually add more value than just doing monotonous construction work, which could actually be safety issues as well. So 3D printing components, 3D printing building structures and concrete walls, tile walls, etc. And then using industry robots for doing tasks that are a problem concerning safety or monotonous work. So this is the fifth digital trend, automation and robotics. One of my favorite blogs is the blog called www.waitbutwhy.com. That's a really good blog, and they have been looking at how human progress have developed over time. And we've seen astonishing We have actually gone to the moon, and we have new computers, and everything is happening so fast. But they show that if you look at human progress over time, it's still a quite flat line. Yeah. And actually, we are right there, where you can see that figure. And what they're saying is that everyone in this room, what you experience right now, is actually the slowest day of the rest of your life. From now on, it will only go faster. So the question everyone needs to ask themselves is, wait, but why? Because the future is coming, and it's coming very fast according to the waitbutwhy.com. Thank you very much.